On Thursday, the top economist fell victim to Facebook fact-checkers when he stated that the United States is in a recession following the release of the GDP report, which showed negative growth for the second consecutive quarter, the standard definition of an economic recession. We live in an Orwellian hellscape. Facebook is now fact-checking anyone who questions the White House's word games about the definition of recession. Phil Magnus wrote on Twitter, a researcher and educator with the American Institute for Economic Research. How wild has it been that an economist is being fact-checked by Facebook? Tom, what do you think about that?
Well, I think right now we've got the tech companies. What are they scared to death of? They're scared to death of congressional hearings, and so they're trying to play nice with Washington. And I call this a softball from the tech, from Thanga, right? This is just a softball. They're coming out there and saying, oh, we're not really in a recession because the White House said we're not really in a recession, and they're trying to play nice. Remember, Facebook was the odd man out after the election. Facebook took the heat and criticism from the DNC. Well, you basically let Trump and let Russia, you were the guy, you were the ones that weren't really watching your front yard. Remember all those criticisms of Facebook? So I think Facebook, this is nothing more than Facebook takes a zero-risk thing of creating a headline of coming back and saying, oh, yeah, no, we kind of agree, there's no recession here. And that's just ridiculous. Everybody who's looking at all the statistics that have been used for 50 years, the technical statistics are out. We're in a recession. And by the way, just ask anybody who's at the supermarket what's going on. Right? I think it's pretty simple. This is Facebook. This is they're trying to make nice.
Vinny, what do you think about it?
I just think people are just out of touch, and the fact that we let them get that powerful, it's nuts, and it's not going to stop. And then November's coming, so it's going to get even. I can't wait.
Let's play devil's advocate. Yeah. Is there anything wrong with that, Adam? Is there anything wrong with Facebook fact checking an economist saying he thinks we're in recession right now?
So just so we're clear, the economist was saying that we're in a recession, and Facebook.
The economist was saying we're in a recession because of 2 quarters in a row of GDP being down, and Facebook comes out and says, no, we're not in a recession. Fact checking it, saying it's not necessarily the definition.
I don't understand the moving of the goalposts. I believe it was you that posted a clip of Bill Clinton sitting down.
I'm glad you said that. Can you pull up the Bill Clinton clip from 2001?
Yeah. Wow. So
I
don't like the moving of the goalposts. If something's a recession by definition,
just watch
call
this.
it what it is.
Here's what Bill Clinton said in 01.
Debate. It's the economy.
Sitting next to a man named George. So,
what do you think about a recession? Well, a recession is 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. I don't think we're going to have that. But we couldn't keep up 5% growth a year, forever. So I think 49 of the 50 blue chip forecasters think growth will be 2.5% or better next year. We'll keep unemployment low. But I think there'll be things to be managed. He'll have economic challenges, and you ought to give him a chance to meet them and not try to figure it all out in advance.
Doesn't it look like a guy that just hooked up with? Look how happy he looks, and look how shitty George Bush looks. He was hooking up with Monica at this point, right? Look how happy he looks. That's the guy that's getting laid, not from Hillary, but look at that. Look at the grin.
This must have been.
That's the guy that had 2 very rough years going into this.
This was 21 years ago.
Yeah, this was after he was impeached, but this was. I assume this was right at the transition from in 2000 to the George Bush presidency. Okay.
Transition.
Right, exactly. So in January. That's my guy, by the way. I mean,
look at how happy he is.
Getting blowjobs or not, I don't really care.
No, I don't care. He was happy. He looks like he's a happy guy.
He was smooth, man. I got to tell you. But anyway, get to your initial point. He said it then. We'll say it again. If by definition a recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, it is what it is. Now, I will say that it wasn't disastrous. GDP would have just come back at -0.9, negative 0.9. So it's not. It's not crumbling, but by definition, we are in a recession.
Yeah, but Democrats
on the recession side, Adam, but on the inflation side, I think people.
No doubt. But it's not. But that's inflation is not a recession. Right? It's just by GDP.
It just seems like the left they're changing definitions on everything.
The economy is not run in reverse at a horrifying rate, but it is. It is a recession. But is it one of the worst recessions on record? Not yet.
Yeah.
But inflation is rough on the average person, and that's what's. Sucks.
So I was having a call yesterday with, how they say if you want to find out whether there's a recession or not, you go to what? A few different places. By the way, I love what Manchin said in an interview with, what's the guy from Fox News, the guy that always has Manchin? Brett Baier. Yeah, he said, He says, look, 17 Nobel laureates said that inflation was transitory, and look what happened to them. And these are 17, Nobel Prize laureates that are talking about this.
Who still have jobs with think tanks.
Who still have jobs, but they got up there and they said, no, this is transitory. You don't have to worry about it. And this word transitory.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a few words we learned in the last 12 months. Okay. One is transitory. We learned about entanglement. We learn about, there's a few words that the definitions forever change.
What do you
right?
mean? And woman doesn't mean woman. They can't even say what woman is.
Certain words just
They're
really.
gone.
And Kamala Harris, border doesn't mean border. I could be 1,000 miles from the
Yeah.
border.
Yeah.
We've been to the border.
We
Yeah.
learned about the word insurrection. I wasn't familiar with that word a year ago.
Yeah, doesn't even know what that means.
But
Insurrection.
the point is with you were talking about what? You were saying a minute ago, you're saying, what point were you making? You were saying there's inflation, there is a
GDP growth.
GDP growth, but you were saying something that prompted me to
I was
talk about
agreeing
mansion.
agreeing with Adam. It was that the recession is not like the worst on record yet, but certainly inflation is hurting the average person. I was talking about that, and before what I was talking about was Facebook, that they were really trying to do a make good with the U.S. government, and I think they're even walking that back.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here, and if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.